Now, this is really hard to believe, but if Elvis Presley were alive today, he'd be 70 years old on January 8th. That's amazing. Well, in our first story, you'll meet a talented Nashvilleian who shares the same birthday with Elvis. And as Susan Watson discovered, she has other things in common with the King as well. A musical talent and a passion for a certain all-American classic sandwich.
Renee Grant-Williams has traveled all over the world, but when she came to Nashville, she knew she was home.
I love Nashville. I like the people, I like their energy.
And home for Renee is in the heart of the city she loves, downtown on 2nd Avenue. She shares a spacious second-story apartment with two feline friends, Coco and Mouse. Tranquility and serenity permeate every corner, but not always.
Don't play me no love songs I love today. Don't play me no train.
Some people have an office in their home. I have a bedroom in my office.
Renee Grant-Williams is a renowned voice coach who has worked with some of the finest singers in the country.
Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, Huey Lewis, Linda Ronstadt, Gary Morris, Charlie Daniels, Lyle Lovett, Martina McBride, Kenny Chesney. I've been so fortunate to have just a wonderful clientele.
Today, 17-year-old Cora Keller traveled all the way from Ripley, Ohio for a private lesson with Renee.
You can't imagine how exciting it is to give someone the tools that will give them a career and change their lives.
Renee also coaches senators, attorneys, and salespeople to improve their speaking voice.
Oftentimes it's not what you say, but how you say it that really counts. What you say is often colored very strongly by how you say it.
Her advice is universal. Renee's popular book, Voice Power, was even translated into Japanese.
Probably the most exciting thing for me about my book was the day I got an endorsement from my hero, Paul Harvey. In fact, I was impossible to be around for about 3 weeks.
Well, Renee used her voice power to persuade me to stay for lunch. She mentioned a tasteful collection that she was sure I would flip over.
I am so glad you were able to join me for lunch today, Susan.
Well, thank you. I was starting to get a little hungry, and you know, a cheeseburger, it's a perfect lunch in my book.
I love cheeseburgers. In fact, you have no idea how much I love cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburger in paradise.
And this is Cheeseburger Central. This is what I wanted you to see.
This is amazing.
Cheeseburger in paradise.
So this is the original Cheeseburger in Paradise. This one sat right in the upper left corner of Jimmy Buffett's desk for 5 years, and Howard Kaufman, his manager, gave it to me when they moved offices.
Jimmy Buffett's personal cheeseburger? Why, that would certainly seem to be the holy grail of anyone's cheeseburger collection. But just why would anyone be collecting cheeseburgers in the first place?
Well, I actually would have rather collected Picassos, but I found out I couldn't afford them. The collection never really started itself. You don't actually decide one day, wake up and decide, today I'm going to start collecting cheeseburgers. It's more like a calling. Or I prefer to think it was thrust upon me like any other kind of greatness. I had a friend who gave me a cheeseburger lapel pin. I wore it on my jacket because he knew I liked cheeseburgers. I mean, after all, the cheeseburger is the perfect food. Someone else came by and said, I have some great cheeseburger earrings that would go with your cheeseburger lapel pin. The next one in the collection, before I knew it, I had a watch. So now I have a pin, a set of earrings, and a watch. Then somebody turned up with a belt buckle.
That's a quarter pounder there.
From then on, it just went wild. Now, having a cheeseburger collection means that people don't have to ever buy you a real present or get creative. All they have to do is shop and try to find burgers. A lot of my students send them to me. I think the Dixie Chicks have sent more than anybody. In fact, some of my students are vegetarians, and they'll contribute to the other basic food groups beside the cheeseburger food group, like the French fry food group and the ketchup food group. For example, Michelle Wright gave me a French fry radio because she's a vegetarian. That's perfectly acceptable, and it's part of the collection. There are very few rules to the collection.
Renee, I see even Santa enjoys a good cheeseburger now and then.
Well, you know, nothing says Christmas like a cheeseburger.
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
I can't understand how people come up with these ideas. And they'll make a cheeseburger out of or into anything.
Of course, that's perfectly all right with Renee. As long as they can dream 'em up and make 'em, she'll collect 'em. And find a place for them here in her downtown paradise, which is naturally only minutes away from her favorite restaurant.
Hey, you know, I think we have a cheeseburger emergency here. Any chance you could send one over right away? Thanks.